The morning sun spills across the valley like warm honey, melting into the golden hills and the dew-covered fence posts of my ranch. I rise early as always, coffee in hand, boots crunching over gravel as I check the perimeter. There's peace in this routine. Out here on the edge of Pine Hollow Ridge, a gated community just recently extended to include my grandfather's ranch. It's easy to pretend the world hasn't changed. But I know better. This land's been in my family for generations. My grandfather, a black man who built every fence and barn board with his own hands, bought it when folks said people like us weren't meant to own land this close to town. He never listened. And neither do I. Still, the town has changed. The old ranches are vanishing one by one, bought out and paved over by developers with names like Willow Springs Management and the New Pine Collective. Big white houses with matching shutters and paper-thin smiles have crept up around the hills like mold on bread. The last few months I've been getting more than the usual stares when I go into town. Conversations stop when I walk into the HOA clubhouse to collect mail. They act polite, tight-lipped nods, quick glances. But the message is loud enough. You don't belong here. I've tried to ignore it. Tried to believe it's just in my head. But then came the letters. At first it was friendly notices. Trim the bushes. Paint the mailbox. Too many animals out front. HOA branding tucked neatly at the bottom in fine print. The thing is, my ranch isn't part of the HOA. It predates the community by 70 years. But that hasn't stopped them from trying to fold me in like an afterthought. Then last week, something new. A sign hammered into my gravel driveway, private access road, Pine Hollow HOA property. No trespassing without permit. That's when I felt the chill. Not just from the message but from the silence that followed. No knock on the door. No call. Just a sign, as if I'd simply wake up and accept that the road my great-grandfather carved through the hills now belonged to someone else. I yank the sign out, toss it in the barn and tell myself it's a mistake. But that gut feeling, that tightening in my chest that always comes right before a storm, I can't shake it. Later that evening I hear my daughter yelling from the back pasture. I run out and see her pointing toward the tree line. A row of posts, fresh, pale wood still smelling like sawdust, cuts through the land like a scar. They're building a fence. And they didn't even ask. I clench my jaw, heart pounding in my ears. This isn't a misunderstanding. This is a warning shot. And I don't plan on missing the next one. By the next morning, the fence posts have multiplied like weeds. 6 more sunk deep into my property line, marching right through the field where my horses graze. There's no crew, no truck, just fresh earth and heavy boot prints in the soil. I crouch down, brushing dirt off the base of a post. It's cemented in. This wasn't some prank or mistake. Someone is making moves under cover of night and they're doing it quietly, on purpose. I call the county. They bounce me between departments until I finally reach someone in zoning. She sounds nervous when I mention the fence. I'll look into it, she says, but I can hear the pause in her voice, the same pause I've heard too many times. It means, this is bigger than me. And you're not supposed to be asking. Around noon I head into town hoping someone will talk. The HOA office is a sterile white building nestled between a boutique wine shop and a yoga studio. Inside it smells like lemon cleaner and air conditioning. At the front desk sits a woman with ice blonde hair and a smile that doesn't reach her eyes. I'm here about the fence, I say. On the ranch. Someone's building it on my land. She blinks slowly. And your name? Jeremiah Carter. The Carter Ranch. Been there longer than Pine Hollows had a name. She types something into her screen like she's looking me up in a system that doesn't include me. You'll need to speak with Mr. Allen. Allen Hensley. Head of the HOA board. The man I've seen strutting around community meetings in pastel polos and mirrored sunglasses, barking about neighborhood standards. He once offered to buy my land at half its worth, citing declining property values. I told him where he could shove his offer. Now I suspect he's found another way to take it. He greets me in the conference room with that same smug grin. Jeremiah, he says, extending a hand he knows I won't take. Heard you've got concerns about the new perimeter project. Perimeter? You mean the fence someone's building across my land? His smile doesn't flinch. We've had multiple complaints about unregulated livestock and unsightly structures visible from the upper homes. The board approved a beautification initiative. I stare at him. You're fencing in someone else's ranch and calling it beautification? It's a shared road, Jeremiah, he says smoothly. Access has to be standardized for safety. The fence is temporary until ownership is clarified. My blood turns to ice. Ownership? You mean mine? He doesn't answer. Just offers that same smile like he's already won. Outside, as I head back to my truck, I spot a few residents watching me from the cafe across the street. They don't wave. Don't smile. Just stare like they're waiting for me to lose it. I won't give them that satisfaction. But something is happening. And I've got a feeling Alan Hensley's just getting started. The next morning, I wake to the sound of hammers echoing through the valley like war drums. I rush outside and stop cold. There's a full crew now, 6 men in neon vests hauling in fence panels, drilling posts deeper into the soil. They've brought machinery, cement mixers, trucks, and they're wearing Pine Hollow HOA contractor badges like armor. They're inside my property line. No question now. They've cut through a section of my barbed wire fencing and moved the markers, pretending they belong here. I storm down the hill, boots kicking up dust. Hey, you can't be here. I shout. A foreman with a clipboard looks up, annoyed. Talk to the HOA. We got permits. You're trespassing. This is my land. He shrugs. Not according to the map we got. He shows me a printout, cheap paper, blurry lines. The property boundary is wrong. Deliberately wrong. They've shifted the fence line 30 feet inward, swallowing half my front pasture. My chest tightens. That's not just fraud. That's theft. I call the sheriff's office. The dispatcher puts me on hold, then transfers me to voicemail. By noon, the entire eastern side of my ranch is fenced off. My horses are panicked, penned into a quarter of their space, snorting and circling. My daughter stands near the barn, arms folded tight across her chest, eyes wide. They're just taking it, she says. And she's right. They're not sneaking anymore. This is a public display. Power move. Later that day, I head into the town records office, desperate for proof. I find an old boundary survey, stamped and signed, showing clear lines going back 80 years. The ranch never included HOA land, and the HOA never included my ranch. When I return home, a bright yellow notice of noncompliance is taped to my mailbox. It lists a half-dozen violations: unauthorized fencing, aggressive livestock, failure to adhere to HOA aesthetics. I crumple the notice in my fist. My ranch doesn't even fall under their jurisdiction. But this is no longer about rules. This is about dominance, about power, and race. Because the other properties bordering Pine Hollow, owned by white families, don't have new fences, citations, or construction crews staking claims. No one's touching the Mackenzie's land across the ridge. Just mine. The only black-owned property for 10 miles. I finally get a call back from Marisol, a land assessor I met at a town council meeting last year. She's Latino, sharp, and knows the system better than anyone. I heard what they're doing, she says. It's illegal, but they're playing a long game. They've been lobbying to rezone everything east of the ridge. Your land's not technically part of it, but they've submitted annexation paperwork anyway. Quietly. They're trying to claim my land without ever stepping foot in court. Exactly. Force you to leave. Then wrap it up in a development deal. I hang up, pulse pounding. Alan Hensley isn't just pushing limits, he's trying to erase my name from this land. I head to the community meeting that night. It's held in the newly built Pine Hollow Event Center. Glass walls, marble floors, the kind of space meant to make you feel small. I walk in wearing my work boots, jeans still dusty from the fields. Every head turns. Alan's up front, talking about progress, neighborhood cohesion, and necessary upgrades for community safety. He doesn't mention me. Not directly. But then I speak. This land has been in my family since before this community existed, I say, voice steady. And now you're building fences across it without consent, rewriting maps, filing bogus claims. Alan steps in. We're simply enforcing community standards. For everyone's benefit. Everyone. I shoot back. Or just the people who look like you? The room goes still. A few folks shift in their seats. Some look away. Others look guilty. Alan's smile wavers. Mr. Carter, if you can't remain civil. I've been civil, I growl. But civility doesn't protect you when people are stealing your land behind your back. I pull the old survey from my bag, hold it high. This document proves your fence is on my property. Every post you planted is trespassing. Every fine you issued is fraudulent. Gasps. Whispers. Someone starts filming with their phone. Alan's jaw clenches. We'll review the documentation. You better do more than that, I say. Because I'm just getting started. And as I walk out, I know one thing for certain. If they wanted a quiet takeover, they picked the wrong rancher. By Friday, the fence is finished. 20 panels of gleaming white vinyl stretch across the front of my ranch like a noose. They've locked a steel gate in the center, slapped a keypad on the side, and posted a shiny HOA logo dead center. My driveway is now blocked. I can't even drive onto my own land. I stand there staring, fists clenched until my knuckles burn. My daughter sits beside me in the truck, silent. Her eyes shimmer with the weight of it all. Then I hear the engine. A sleek black SUV rolls up the private road, tires crunching gravel. It stops just short of the gate and out steps Alan Hensley. He's in a blazer this time, not the pastel polo, looking official, smug as ever. He walks like he owns the whole damn mountain. He pauses at the gate and grins through the bars like it's a zoo exhibit. Afternoon, Jeremiah. Beautiful day, isn't it? His voice oozes condescension. Thought I'd come by and see the finished product. I take a step forward. You locked me out of my own ranch. He chuckles. Our shared access road, remember? We've officially adopted it into the Pine Hollow infrastructure plan. We're streamlining all vehicle entries for safety purposes. Safety, I say flatly. He shrugs. It's all above board. The board approved the fence. You were notified. I was not notified. He raises a brow as if I'm being emotional. We posted the agenda. You didn't attend last week's session. I was working my land. That doesn't mean you get to steal it. Alan leans forward, gripping the gate bars. This community has standards, Jeremiah. We can't have rusty tractors, wild animals, and broken fencing visible from our walking trails. You're the last holdout. And frankly, the way you've let the place go, it's clear you're not the right steward anymore. There it is. The crack in the mask. Not even subtle. I've been more of a steward to this land than you'll ever be, I say. I don't need permission from a man whose boots have never touched real dirt. He scoffs. You're emotional. It's understandable. You're losing something that was never quite yours to begin with. My hands tremble with rage. But I stay calm. Funny, I say. That's not what the county says. Alan straightens, his smug grin fading slightly. I pull a folder from the truck. Inside, official stamped surveys, historic deeds, even a notarized letter from Marisol confirming the boundaries. And at the very top, a digital printout. Security footage. I hand him the folder through the bars. What's this? He asks, flipping through. These are old documents. Legally binding documents, I reply. That footage, though, that's from my trail cam. I installed it 2 weeks ago when the first fence post went in. Alan's brow furrows. It filmed us. Not just you, I say. Your crew. Working past sunset. Cutting into my fence. Moving boundary markers. All of it time-stamped and uploaded to a secure server. I've already shared it with the sheriff. And the zoning board. And, thanks to a few friends, Channel 9 News will be airing it tonight. His face goes pale. I step closer. Oh, and you know that shared road you keep talking about? Turns out it's still deeded to my family. You've been trespassing. Every inch of your precious gate is illegal. Alan blinks, lips parting, searching for a lifeline. I lean in, voice low. You tried to steal what my grandfather bled for. You tried to erase history. But you made one mistake. He looks up, eyes narrowed. You assumed I didn't know how to fight back. For the first time, Alan looks afraid. Behind us, a county sheriff's cruiser pulls up. Marisol steps out, flanked by a deputy. She gives me a small nod. Alan turns slowly, realizing this isn't just a standoff. It's an ambush. His ambush turned inside out. Mr. Hensley, Marisol calls, holding up a cease and desist order. You'll need to remove that gate by sunset. Or we'll remove it for you. The silence stretches like taut wire. Then my daughter speaks from the truck. Still think he's not the right steward? Alan doesn't answer. Because he knows he's lost. The gate is gone by sunset. They didn't wait for a crew. The sheriff brought bolt cutters, a tow chain and a rusted county pickup. Alan stood helplessly to the side, lips pressed into a thin line as the steel gate screeched and collapsed into the dirt like a dead thing. Neighbors watched from their porches. Some recorded. Most whispered. But I wasn't done. By Monday morning the story had gone viral. The Channel 9 segment aired Sunday night. A clean 3-minute exposé with aerial footage of the ranch, Marisol's boundary confirmations, and a slowed-down clip from my trail cam. Alan's face was caught clearly in the frame, standing behind the construction crew as they shifted the marker flags under cover of dusk. Head of Pine Hollow HOA accused of land-grabbing racial harassment, the banner read. It wasn't just local news anymore. Civil rights activists picked it up. An environmental land trust retweeted the footage. Within 24 hours, a petition to dissolve the HOA board hit 20,000 signatures. The community Facebook group exploded with posts. Some defended Alan, wealthy retirees mostly, but others? The ones who always felt a quiet unease? They spoke up too. Turns out I wasn't the only one they tried to silence. Turns out Pine Hollow had skeletons and I just kicked open the closet door. Alan called an emergency HOA meeting Tuesday evening. Said he wanted to set the record straight. So I went. And brought friends. The community center was packed. Every chair filled, people standing along the walls, reporters clustered near the back. Alan stood at the podium looking smaller than usual. No blazer this time. Just a wrinkled dress shirt and eyes ringed in sleepless red. I know there's been some confusion, he began, voice tight. Let me assure you the board has acted in good faith. The decisions made were based on legal counsel and the best interests of our neighborhood. I stood up. With respect, I said loud and clear, we have proof that your actions were unlawful. That you knowingly violated my property rights. Alan's jaw flexed. The survey in question was stamped by the county in 1983. Reaffirmed in 2009. You filed new documents without notifying the deed holder. That's not confusion. That's fraud. A murmur swept the room. Alan raised his hand. Let's not jump to. But Marisol stepped forward from the aisle holding a binder. Mr. Hensley, she said, I filed a report this morning with the State Real Estate Commission. You knowingly filed a fraudulent annexation proposal and misrepresented land ownership in a rezoning application. He turned to her, eyes wide. This isn't your jurisdiction. It is now. The complaint was escalated to the State Attorney General's office. They've opened an investigation. The room went dead quiet. And then from the back of the room a voice spoke. I have something to add. Heads turned. An older white man in a brown vest stepped forward. Mr. Delaney, one of the oldest residents of Pine Hollow. A man no one expected to speak. He cleared his throat. I was on the original zoning board. I remember when the Carter Ranch was excluded from HOA jurisdiction. We all knew it wasn't part of the development. That land was off limits. He looked at Alan. You knew it too. Alan's hands curled into fists. You don't know what you're talking about. Delaney stepped aside and another man emerged. A man in a gray suit with a badge pinned to his chest. Mr. Hensley, he said. Detective Moore with the State Division of Land Fraud. I have a few questions for you about altered documents and the misuse of public zoning records. The blood drained from Alan's face. I could almost hear the world shifting under his feet. I think we're done here, Marisol said. Alan turned to the crowd, desperate now. You don't understand. This was supposed to raise your property values. I was protecting all of us. No, I interrupted. You were protecting your control. And you thought you could steal from someone who didn't look like you without consequence. A silence followed. Heavy. Final. Detective Moore approached the podium. Alan stumbled back. A reporter's camera flashed. The moment captured, forever etched into public record. As they escorted Alan out of the hall, his wife rushed up to him. Others turned their backs. The HOA board members avoided his eyes. Some quietly slipped out the side doors. Collapse isn't always loud. Sometimes it happens in whispers, in eyes that no longer meet yours, in doors that close with finality. Outside the air felt lighter. And as I stepped back into the parking lot, my boots hitting the concrete steady and sure, my daughter walked beside me. You really did it, she said. No, I said quietly. We did. But I knew the battle wasn't just for our land. It was for every person who ever had something stolen in silence. And this time silence lost. 3 weeks after the takedown, the HOA's front sign is replaced, scrubbed of Alan Hensley's name, now bearing a small notice. Under state review. Board suspended until further notice. His mugshot hit the evening news like wildfire. Forgery. Trespassing. Abuse of zoning authority. But what sealed his fate wasn't the charges. It was the footage. Neighbors watched in disbelief as their once proud president barked orders at the fence crew under cover of dusk, dragging boundary markers like he was drawing lines in sand. The mask had dropped. The real Alan, the man who thought he could manipulate laws the same way he manipulated neighbors, was exposed. He's out on bond now. But his house is for sale. Word is the legal fees are eating him alive. The community, some deny they ever supported him. Others come up to me now, offering awkward apologies. A woman from down the hill brings a pie. An old couple who never waved before now wave every time I drive by. It's not perfect, but it's something. Me. I've never felt more grounded. The first thing I do after the dust settles is repaint the fence. My fence. Not the plastic vinyl mess the HOA tried to build, but the old wooden posts my grandfather set down himself. I fix every panel, drive in every nail with my own 2 hands. My daughter helps, hands blistered but proud. We stain it dark brown, the same color it used to be before the sun bleached it over the years. And I hang a new sign at the entrance. Carter Ranch. Family-owned since 1952. No gates. No codes. No HOA logos. Just the truth. Marisol stops by a few days later, a folder in her hand and a quiet smile on her face. It's official, she says. Your land is fully exempt. The state's invalidated the HOA's annexation efforts. They won't be touching this place again. I nod, swallowing a lump in my throat. Thank you, for fighting with me. You fought for all of us, she says. People just didn't see it yet. I walk her out to her truck and for a while we just watch the sun dip below the ridge. The mountains are glowing again, gold like embers. And the wind carries that smell I've always loved. Cedar, dust and fire. Later that evening I find a letter in my mailbox. No return address. Just a folded page with tight, neat handwriting. Mr. Carter. I used to think you were the problem. Too different. Too loud. Too unwilling to fit in. But now I see it was never about fitting in. It was about standing your ground. And I respect that. I'm sorry I didn't sooner. A neighbor. I read it twice. Then I tuck it into the back of the family Bible next to the old deed. A piece of truth resting alongside history. Because that's what this land is, ours. Not just through paper or blood, but through every moment we refused to bend. Every fight we chose not to walk away from. Every boundary we defended with grit and grace. Justice didn't come easy. It never does. But it came. And it came loud. Alan lost more than his position. He lost the illusion of power. And what we gained was more than land. We gained our voice, our dignity, and a story that reminded this town what happens when the people you overlook finally get seen. Some fences are meant to fall. And some roots. They grow deeper after the storm.